James, I guess I haven't talked to you really in person for well over 6 months. So first thing I have to say is welcome home.
Thank you.
It's been a long journey. You got home two days ago?
3 days ago now.
3 days ago now. I guess first of all, how are you?
Good. Long flight. A lot to think about, and I'm starting to reflect a lot more now about the whole situation. But everything's good so far.
We just came from St. George's Anglican Church in Grafton as a fundraiser for Ukrainian families. A lot of people spoke to you. How did that make you feel?
At first, wasn't too emotional about it, but I got a little emotional. I feel bad. I feel good at the same time. Kind of missing Ukraine already, and I just got back. So, yeah.
Tell me, I know it's hard to encapsulate 6.5 months.
6.5 months. Yeah.
I know it's hard to encapsulate 6.5 months, but I mean, tell me about your journey.
Well, it started out before I was just training troops. Got to Kyiv. I found a commander. Started training some troops that were down there. Some were locals for 5 days, and they were shipped up to the front lines. I trained the instructors, which I kind of fell in love with. They ended up being my team. We ended up going down to Mykolaiv together. They got called to go, so I said, I'm going with you. I got down there, started work right away. Came into a lot of heavy fire at the very start. Lost a few at the very start. One of my good friends. Then as everything went on, it was just kind of, it's a lot to say. We've been in over 60 missions, a lot of contact with tanks. I was able to hit a tank. I don't know if I'm happy or sad about that. I've had to get shot at.
And you did how do I say it, a missile at a tank, or what do you call it?
It's a javelin. Yeah, I was able to engage a tank with a javelin at about 600 and something meters. Hit it. It was good. There's two other tanks there, and they turned around and they fired at us, but we were able to get out of that one. I've had Russians, soldiers run right up to me, not knowing we're there. We've had to do our job at that situation. So there's been a lot more contact than I can bargain for. It was more than I ever thought I could endure.
Was it right?
It had to be done. It was either us.
I mean, the whole thing, like you being there, like right thing, like everything's,
Yeah.
You're 100% with what you did, because, as I say, it was, it had to be done. I believe that was your reason for going over there.
It had to be done. Between all the people I met, like I said, I feel bad for leaving them. I do want to go back. I feel like I have some unfinished business there. Coming back to here now, worrying about small problems, really doesn't matter. This whole thing matters. The whole world's going to feel this, and they are feeling it. But it's like I said, I don't know how to take it, but I know that I was down there and I did a good thing. So I can feel proud of myself for that.
How language? Did you just learn it?
I learned the language. I can understand a lot. Unfortunately, they would like to teach me swear words and put me in certain situations. But no, I did learn that. I can understand Ukrainian enough to get by. So it was helpful. I also had an interpreter with me the whole time. Another one of my good friends who's also made it through all this. We lost 520 soldiers in 3 months in our brigade, and we were the lucky ones to kind of make out of it. So yeah, it was a tough one to swallow as well. So.
Tell me about your missions. Some of your missions. You went on 60 missions, and this is like how does it for those that don't know, like myself, how does it happen?
Well, the way the war is fought nowadays, which Canada is going to have to take note from, it's not like we train. All the stuff we train for now is kind of obsolete due to drones and artillery. We just can't train the way we do because being down there on some of these missions, we were a recce team, so we go into 300 meters of the enemy with a javelin, RPG, fully loaded to go in and watch the enemy to make sure, if we can dial in our artillery fire to hit them. So we would be on the radio, we call it in, or we'd engage on an assault on a village. We'd go into the village, set up defensive, usually try and wait for the Russians to come into us, which 9 times out of 10 it happened. When it comes down to in the fields where we were in the south, you couldn't move without getting seen by a drone. So you almost had to play it where, I hate to say it, they had to put people in these trenches to draw fire to be seen by the Russians. So they would dedicate their fire to those trenches while we can get around and unseen into our positions to be able either to engage the enemy or to tell basically our artillery where they were. Because the war is fought now with these drones. It's artillery, drones, and snipers. That's the only thing that you can fight a war. These drones are too hard to hide from. Now they're capable of carrying small munitions. You pull a thermal tarp over your head at night, you turn around and you look up top, and there's 30, 40 drones flying over top. You don't know which one's yours, which one's theirs. And they're all carrying munitions, or they can have thermal capability to watch you. So it's one of those things where it's really difficult to fight a war like this. Nobody's fought a war like this, and everybody that's been down there, American Navy SEALs, ex-Special Forces, British SAS, they said the same thing. This is not anything like Afghanistan. It's nothing like any war that they've ever fought, because all these new weapon systems have come out, and you don't have to get close and personal anymore. The only time you get close and personal is to either go through a village, clean houses, or because you gotta, your artillery's got a range anywhere from like 2 to 12 kilometers on short artillery, so they can fire at you from 12 kilometers away, and they think you're gone. Once they notice you're gone with the drones, they can pull their team right up. So it's a back and forth thing right now. When it comes to gains, I know everybody believes the news what they hear, but there's good and bad. The gains, really, we haven't moved at all in the south. We were able to hold them back, but we hear on the news that the south's being pushed back to here, son. Well, it's not. Not saying it's a bad thing, but we have been able to hold the line there. When it comes to the east, we have made good gains due to the big weapon systems. And the big weapon systems are key, and if they don't get these throughout the winter, then I have a funny feeling that they're not going to do so hot when it comes to Mykolaiv and Kharkiv. But if they keep coming, we should be able to defend that and maybe push forward in the spring, because when it comes to the wintertime, there's no movement down anywhere. The drones can detect you, they can see tracks in the snow, thermal radiology. You're not going anywhere. You won't be able to move. You're just going to sit in that trench and take fire. When it comes down to what people can do, they don't need money. Talking with the officials down there, they don't even want money. They want equipment for their soldiers, small plates, newer helmets, weapons, small arms weapons. They're running out of those. I know they've been sending a lot to the States and Poland and Germany, but when it comes to Canada, really, I don't think we've really stepped up into the bargain. Even if we don't have much, we can give something. Winter uniforms, because we're getting into winter time. I know for a fact there's 40 sniper rifles, PGM, sitting in Vancouver that is supposed to go to Ukraine, but the Canadian government's not willing to purchase them, to give them to them. So we do have the stuff. I'm not sure the politics involved in it. And I know.
How does that make you feel?
A little bit angry as a Canadian, because being down there and hearing all the stuff on the news, what we're supposedly doing, and then seeing it not be there is kind of discouraging. So it's a hard one to swallow. But I know we have the stuff, and like I said, they don't need money. They'd rather have people, even good trainers, officers, to go to Poland and England. I know we have guys down there doing that right now, but not enough. We are military. If we're not doing anything right now, send 150, 200, 300, 1,000 officers down there to help them train their officers, because that's what they need. They need their personnel to be good. They have the equipment. They had the equipment coming. They're getting more equipment, and now they need the people to use it and to learn how to use it effectively. That's really the key. There is a big turnaround in Ukraine right now. The first phase of the Ukrainian military war, the war operation, the first bunch of people were there to draw fire and advance. They didn't know what to do. Now the second phase of the Ukrainians coming in after 6 months. Remember, they were in a trench for 6 months, in and out, getting shelled, losing half their brigades, half the battalions at the very start. To now you have trained soldiers for 3 months, which is better than what I was giving. I was giving them 5 days to 3 weeks. And now they're getting 3 months training in England and Poland from NATO countries, officers. So before I left, I talked to these guys, and they had a better understanding on how to complete a mission, what was needed to do to consolidate after a mission, how to properly do an assault, how to protect yourself, what kind of equipment you need to do the job, how to use specialty equipment. So it is getting better. There is going to be a different big change here come winter and probably next spring. I do think you'll see the Ukrainians do a lot better than they had at the very start. True.
How is it going? Like, winning or losing, or is it maintaining, or?
To be honest, like when it comes to bodies, we're definitely losing a lot more. I can be honest about that, because we're losing usually 5-1. We've been sent into too many missions. I've dragged out too many bodies compared to what the Russians are losing. Now the Russians, they say there's body counts of 80,000 Russians. Well, that's not true at all. Most of the Russian casualties are conscripts still, Syrians, Chechens, and even young kids that they're sending up after 3 months of training. They're sending them, but they're not using their professional soldiers yet. They're holding them back for NATO, the same as their jets and their new equipment. You hear it all the time. Well, Russians going to run out of artillery ball. They've been making it since the 50s. They've been selling it to other countries throughout this whole since the 50s. They have two things on this war again over Ukraine. They have time and artillery, and unfortunately, Ukraine doesn't have time or enough artillery to either defend or push forward. But not to say that Western world and everybody else is helping out right now. I'm not to say that they won't push forward. We've been definitely holding our ground and made some good gains in the east. But when it comes down to the south, I can be dead honest with you, we haven't moved an inch. We've just been losing bodies left, right, and center. And so is the Russians, but it's been a complete dead gridlock there.
You ever find out why this is all going on? Like, does it ever make sense?
To be honest with you, I think just personally talking with a lot of like higher up guys down there, it seems to be like, well, Putin wants the Soviet Union back, obviously, but he's trying to divide the world, and he's been doing a good job. If you look at the rest of the world right now that nobody looks in the news, you got fighting in Georgia, fighting in Turkey, you got fighting in Iran, fighting in Iraq, fighting in Africa. There's fighting all over the world being split in half because of this whole war. People don't see it. Once you start to see it, you start to understand, okay, this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to split the world and basically make hatred for the Western world, trying to flip that power. He wants his power back. It's not about money. It's not about religion. It's about power. This whole war that's why I feel anyway. So.
Tell me about one of the last missions you had.
Well, the last mission we took in, we brought in a 4-man tank team through this field into a village. As we got there, we were told there was no mines. That was all cleared from our MODs. And so when we got in there, the first thing I seen was a butterfly mine on the ground. So I called it in. They tell me to go anyways. I told them we're not leaving until we get at least get a mine sweep guy down here, one of those deck guys down here. So they came down. A day later, they started checking. They ended up pulling out 30 Indian personnel mines, 20 Indian tank mines, and about 100 of these little butterfly mines. Just as we're walking along, so we got to the village finally, snuck them in. Russians were about 300 meters in the other side of the village. There's another team that came behind us that was supposed to be an aerial assault team. They got into another house as we got there. As soon as we got there, we started taking heavy fire from tanks over top of the Russians, right in directly into our side of the village. They hit us about 15 times. They stopped for a minute. I actually was able to get a video. I pulled my phone out and I said, guys, they're not done yet. And I wanted to make sure this could be my last time shooting, and hopefully somebody gets this. But I had it on the right time, and all of a sudden a shell hit the room beside us. At that point, I thought everybody's checking each other. I thought I was hurt, thought everybody else started ringing, the concussion. Destroyed the half of our house. Unfortunately, our side of the house was fine. I grabbed all the bodies, started throwing them out the door. So get back in the canal, get back in the canal. We weren't supposed to move, we were supposed to stay there, but I wasn't taking any chances, so we were able to get back to the canal. The other 4 guys in the other house, my one guy, my interpreter Koba, he stopped and looked, and he seen the house that the other 4 guys were in. There was nothing left. He wanted to stay and help dig them out, and I said they were dead. There was nothing left of that house. And at the same time, as he's saying that, we're getting shelled more and more, so we had to get back into that canal and then run back about 300 or 400 meters and take cover for at least half a day. So they couldn't find us. BMPs were engaging us. Heavy 50 caliber machine gun were engaging us, and we eventually made it back to our lines. That was my last mission. I needed a break after that one. That was a tough one.
It was time to go on a vacation.
Yeah, it was a little too close. I still can't hear it in my one ear very well. It's louder than you think, and if you get a chance to see the video, it's pretty scary.
They so you started with 16?
Yeah, 16. We got 6 guys left out of our whole team.
And they were good guys.
Yeah, they're good guys. Yeah, they did their job. Unfortunately, that they got put into that position that I just feel bad because I think I did enough for them, but it was just not enough. You know, it's one of those things where I'll have to live with these guys in my mind the rest of my life. But yeah, no, it's like I say, I'd like to go back down there to make sure that the rest of the guys are okay. But
are you fixated? Like, I don't know the correct term, so forgive me on this. But you're not a warmonger or anything like this. You just want to do this for the right reasons.
Yeah, I do. I figured I was gonna go down and just help out when I could, and then I started seeing bodies and inexperienced people going into a job without any support or any help. You know, I just had to jump on that. It was just something I needed to do.
One thing I wanted to mention too is for most of this, you weren't getting paid.
I didn't sign a contract for 3.5, 4 months. Pretty much, I stuck with my crew without getting paid. Eventually, they forced me to sign a contract. My contract that I did sign, I was waiting it because it enables me to go with any brigade as opposed to being stuck with a brigade. So technically, I'm part of the Ukrainian military, and I'm a temporary citizen of Ukraine until January. So if I want to go back, I have no problems going back and doing my job. Now, the amount of stuff that we left there, we've gotten drones there through my contacts, through Heart of the World, through Spencer Fraser, through Orst. We were able to get drones, money, equipment, and to be honest with you, we got more out of that than we have had out of our own government. So,
To be fair, though, and if I get this right, and again, correct me. To be fair, you've said some experiences with even Ukrainians that aren't the greatest either. So,
well, there's a problem. There's corruption everywhere, and then with every war there's corruption. So there is some instances where money's being lost, weapons are being lost at the border, sold back to the Ukrainians. The corruption is real. The corruption is real. It was real in Afghanistan. It was real in the Georgian war. Down here, it's a little more open. Some of these people are taking advantage of their own people by selling. Well, example, you have guys that can't get out of the country. They have to be in the military. So when you're in the military, at the very start, you got issued a uniform and an AK-47 or 74. That's it. You bought your own boots, you bought your own hats, you bought your own helmet, or you try and find it. They had donations, but they didn't have enough. So the first wave of weapons that come down from the west, the M4s and the M4s, the C7s, C6s from Canada. They were actually 2 months later. We went to a weapons store up near Lviv. They were selling NATO issued weapons. I asked the guy. I said, "You can't sell NATO weapons." He's like, "Yeah, they're NATO. I can sell them." I said, "No, you can't. You can't buy a NATO weapon." So literally, we went out. My friend called the SBU, which is the counterintelligence. Next 2 days, we went back in there. They were off the shelf. So that's just a simple thing. People were selling medical equipment to Ukrainians that was donated. So it's unfortunate. It was kind of half and half. People that needed it had to buy it, or if they didn't get it donated to them, or if they did get it donated more than needed, they would sell it to somebody else. So, but you got to remember though too, these Ukrainians, people down here, this is a lot of them. It's not like what you think. It's when you go down there and you sit and you're in Mykolaiv and you're 20 kilometers away from the front lines, and you come back to Mykolaiv, the stores are still open. Coffee shops, restaurants, it's shopping markets. They're keeping the economy going. It's surreal, but it's all right. But like I said, I wasn't too happy at the start with military personnel having to buy their own equipment. That really got to me.
they just like you say, and that's perfect, because over here the media does show, like, you see both sides of it. And again, I don't know Ukraine, but but you see both sides of it. How you see how the front lines, and then like you say, you see another city where it's like, hey, it's quote unquote normal city just taking place, and it's hard to put the two and two together, the distance or whatever it is.
It's crazy. You'd have sometimes at a night 40 S-300 missiles hit Mykolaiv. They're from 20 to 40. Now they're a big missile. They'll take down a apartment building, and you can hear it go straight through your chest when you're sleeping at night. And you wake up in the morning, and all of a sudden everybody's coffee shops open. Like, you're walking around, you're talking to people at the supermarket. They don't shut down. The pride of the people is absolutely phenomenal. They have such a strong pride and willingness to stay, which does make me kind of happy for them. I've never seen that before.
And that's what I was going to say. Last question. Talk a little bit about the people. Even in here, you were just about tearing up talking to some of the people, the Ukrainians and that. But tell me how those people captured your heart.
Oh, the way they're so accepting, the fact that they're willing to fight for something that's a bigger thing than them. The way they treat other people from different countries it's just like family. The brotherhood, the determination, the courage. You don't have that here in Canadian soldiers. You don't really have a lot of that here. People are worried about small little problems, and you get people that come together so quickly for a big reason. And everybody's like my group and other groups. We've made such a big rapport of thousands of us that know each other because it's just we trust each other.
Now, the one thing I don't want you to, because people jump on this. But when you say the Canadian soldiers don't have courage, it's a different kind. Well, as I say, not to put words in your mouth, but I mean, it's different there.
It is. When it comes to the Canadian military, I love the Canadian military. I love Canada. The training and politics get too far involved. Our military is not like it used to be, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree with me about this. We need a change. We've always needed a change. Everybody knows that too. People, if not, no, to be honest with you, people all around the world love our military. Like right now, they have good things to say about our military that are training some of the guys in Poland, but when it comes down to the politics involved in our small military here, we'd have a lot more people join the military if the government maybe stepped up a little more to maybe help it a little more, to be honest with you. The training down here is really good. It's really hard and solid, but we do need to change the way we do things though, because if we execute the ways that we do our training right now in this military, if we were in the Ukraine war, we wouldn't do any good. We'd have to start from scratch, because the basic soldier skills, I get it. We were really good at those. When it comes to the specialty skills, it's not what you think. You can't just be out in the open, dig a trench. You got to hide in these drones. There's so many different aspects to this war than any other war. So when it comes to rehearsing or workup training to missions if you were to fight in Ukraine, you couldn't do the stuff that we do, because a lot of it's obsolete, to be honest.
So in other words, Canada would have a hard time in Ukraine if we were fighting there.
Well, I could say about 80% of our military is good when it comes to artillery. Like, we do have some good artillery guys. We have some good armored vehicles and stuff like that. But when it comes down to our regular infantry guys, we're good at what we do. Say if it was in the war in World War II, or maybe in Georgia or in Afghanistan, but here it's totally different.
It's a different war.
Different war. We'd be ready for it.
But we have to educate ourselves quickly on this, because it's changing. If I get this, it's changing so quickly, so fast, that we have to keep up to date on
training and everything. When it comes to even some equipment, drones. We hate to say it, but this is a drone war. There's millions of drones out on our position. They're like flies. You can't hide on them. They're carrying munitions, and everybody's a drone operator down there. So that's one big thing I see the Canadian military having to do.
But no regrets going over.
No regrets at all. No.
And looking at the going back.
Yes.
I want to say, I'll say this personally before I turn this off. I didn't know you before this, James. I didn't know you before I interviewed you down at Challice, but we've kept in touch over the weeks, days, months that you've been there, and I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. You got more courage than I could ever have to do that, and you did it all for the right reasons. It wasn't for pay, it wasn't for glory, it wasn't for anything other than to help another human being, and to me there's no better person in the world than that. So thank you.
I appreciate it, Pete. Thank you.